All right. We are recording. How are you guys doing?
Doing well, thank you.
Good.
I'm doing great. I'm
Great.
doing great. I'm excited. I'm so thrilled to have Pastor Powell here with us today. Just
Thank
really,
you.
really excited about this one. I know that there is so much swirling on all of our hearts and in all of our minds about how we can help and how we can get involved. And just also, I just think that Powell and the folks at all of our churches, y'all,
Mhm.
and certainly at First United Methodist Church, just serve as kind of a touchstone for what's happening in our community. So what better way to kind of bring it home than to have him on this morning, and just has some great insights and always the most wonderful outlook on things. So Powell, thank you for being here.
Yes.
Thank you, Mary Cheatham. It's an honor. Appreciate it very much.
We're so thrilled. We're so thrilled. So Powell, I'm going to jump right in.
Okay.
So, what we know is that every business, every church, every organization has had to pivot and shift their strategies during COVID-19. And so tell us about the ways that you guys at First United Methodist have kind of changed the way that y'all are approaching your outreach and your programming and all those things.
Great. Thank you. Good question. You're right. I mean, this is a time of adaptability, trying to catch a vision for new ways of doing things. One thing that's important for the world to understand is that we have not closed the church because the church isn't a building. What we've done is deployed the church into the world. In fact, the church has left the building because the church isn't a building. The church is a people on mission. So part of what we've done is pivot thinking. We've moved from an emphasis on gathering, since we can't do public gatherings, to connecting. And so even though we've done a lot of communicating, now we're raising the bar with more live streaming and counseling and meetings and teachings and all sorts of opportunities, reading stories to children, whatever it takes to help people connect. We've also shifted from receiving. Often people think of going to a place to receive, to equipping the church to live out their faith, to live out their compassion and life out in the world, whether it's in their homes, their neighborhoods, their businesses, if they're still functioning even at home. And so we've really seen a shift to people on mission. We also are obviously doing our ministry out in the world rather than on campus. So discipleship, worship, all sorts of things like that. But I think missionally, we've really honed in and focused on basic human needs during this coronavirus period. So we've really stepped up through our team to FUMC feeds. And so we're well over 8,000 meals served on campus and in the community. It's all drive-through.
Powell, that's unbelievable. Awesome. I mean, let's just stop right there, because that's completely unbelievable. So, I mean, I love everything that you've said. I love that you're talking about equipping people to, when you and I spoke before, you talked about, the fact that now parents in the homes have become teachers, and parents in the homes have become, the person who is in charge of the spirituality for their family, because we don't have face-to-face access to the folks in our church who normally serve in that role. So I think that is such an incredible way to look at it, and such a cool concept. And then I think moving on to the way that you guys have stepped up to the plate, and so many have, right? And yet I'm just very aware of what you guys have done. 8,000 meals is really unbelievable. That's incredible.
And a lot of credit to Waylon Bell and to a huge team, other businesses, community individuals, restaurants that are partnering to get this done, to make sure that hungry people are fed. We're also giving out money for rent and utilities. We're really trying to support some of our frontline groups like Hope Mission, Martha's Mission, Family Promise, Broad Street Clinic. And this is going to go on for some time.
I think that's such an important thing to remember, is that this is a marathon and not a sprint. And I want to come back to that, and to how we can all partner to help those in our community who really need it. One of the questions that I have that I think is so interesting is, as a member of your congregation, I know that you guys have offered these online services for some time. But what do you think? I mean, how has going to only online kind of shifted the way things feel inside your church community?
That's a great question. It's also a bit of a mystery.
Right.
These are new fields that we're plowing. I do hear an angst of missing community. Certainly,
Sure.
some people do miss the setting of a 300-year-old sanctuary, or to be in the presence of the Rise worship team. Though you can do that on Wednesday nights at 7 on Facebook Live too. Um, I also think that there's a longing that's being created in us as a community of faith, and I pray that longing it becomes fertile soil for God to really draw us back together, both not just in gathering in this place, but again, gathering us for mission, so that we're doing and being the people that God intends us to be.
I love that. I think that's so good. And I think that one of the things that I have found for me personally, on the one hand, there's no doubt that I miss, I like going to the more formal service. I grew up going to a more formal service. I love that. I love kind of the tradition. There's something that's so soothing to me about, a traditional church service. And yet I have really been, certainly the sense of community has shifted from the church community to kind of a family community for us, because there's something that's so, and maybe it's because I know it won't last forever, probably for us, for our family, but there's something that's so dear and so just wonderful about being able to get up and, the kids are maybe eating their pancakes, or, Chip and I are still drinking coffee, and I might have my pajamas on still, maybe, there's just something that's so great about that. And being able to, if Walter has a question about a word or what something means or part of the message, to be able to stop and say, okay, let's talk about it. So it's creating more dialogue internally for our family, although we certainly are missing that greater dialogue with the church family.
Yep.
Right. I think that concept of a house church has a long history from the very beginnings of Christianity, but also still in places in this world where groups are not allowed to gather by faith. There's that joke going around that some people are saying they're really going to miss worship online because they'll miss their pause button.
I love that. I think that's great. I love that. And so, Powell, this has been so hard for so many folks, and you guys are interfacing with those folks. I mean, you're looking them in the eyes when they come through to pick up those meals, right? So I know you guys are extremely aware of the folks that are in need, and yet I do think that there have been some silver linings, and it sounds like, you've already touched on some of those with, the community coming together and people working together to support those in need. But what else would you add to that? What else have you seen that you feel like is a silver lining from this COVID-19 situation?
Mary Cheatham, that's a great question. And I believe that's a matter of some perspective and hope. If we examine both Christianity and even the history of this country, our qualities come out in times of hardship. We grow often better through hardships than we even do through times of prosperity, when we begin to take things for granted. So I see a silver lining, not that God has caused this, but that God is going to use this to stir in people a sense of neighborliness, of hope, of family. And that what we're trying to do when we hand somebody a plate of food, because we're in a mask, they may not see the smile on our face, but we want them to hear the smile in our voice and in our eyes to say, you are loved, you are important, we are community together. We will rise up together. And of course, motivations can be faith, or they can just be that spirit of, this is our home. These are our neighbors.
I think that is, I think that's so huge. And I think that's something that I really appreciate about the way that you all go about things, and something that I think is so important, which is that everyone doesn't share the same ideas about faith.
Right.
And they don't have to. And I think that's one thing about the situation, is that it's been an equalizer in a lot of ways. Yes. And so I think, Powell, what I would ask you then that relates to that is, let's say that someone, whether they're a member of your congregation, whether they're a Christian, no matter what their perspective is and where they come from, if someone were to come to you and say that they wanted to help out, what suggestions, as someone who's been on the front line, I know a lot of people have been paralyzed, and understandably so. A lot of people want to help, but don't have the extra resources to do so in terms of the finances to be able to do that. So what are some things that you would say to someone who wanted to help in a tangible way?
Again, great question. Certainly, we will receive whatever help people want to offer and try to channel that in great directions. So if it is financial, certainly that can be given to your own faith community, to any one of these great community missions that we all love and support. If your best aid is to be able to send a meal from one of our restaurants to your next door neighbor who's elderly, then do so. If money's not there, then mow somebody's grass, or make a homemade card and send it to somebody. Our nursing homes, rehab centers are full of very isolated, lonely people. Any contact at all, send a card to all of them, and they will. You don't have to know them. Just help. If somebody wants to make a financial donation to our feeding program, we do have a designated fund. 100% of everything that somebody gives to that will go to COVID relief. No overhead, no other expenses from the church, just to help feed, house, clothe, care for your neighbors. If you want to volunteer time, while we're still being very limited about that, if you'd like to do that, you can contact our church. And as we can create shifts and numbers, we'll be glad to help engage people in feeding and serving, whether it's, again, on campus, or we're serving another 1,000 meals this week in Newport. And so we'll need people just there to help distribute. So just contact us and we'll connect you. And if possible, we'll use you. This is going to go on a long time.
Right. So I love that too. So if you haven't gotten involved yet, it's not too late, right?
Right.
And this is we're going to need strength that carries on throughout some time.
Yes.
And especially, I think there are effects, just like you're saying, there are effects of the online community of church. There are effects of the financial impacts of this on our local families that are yet to even be understood. Mm-hmm. So I think that creating an open dialogue around this is so important.
Absolutely.
And I love, Powell, I think one of the things that I love is that I know that you guys are a great place. That you've said this to me before, that y'all aren't necessarily going out and collecting funds. You're not going out and fundraising necessarily, but that you are receiving, which I think is such a beautiful way to phrase it, that, that you guys are receiving offers of help and offers of money, and you'll make sure they get to the right people, which is what I think is so daunting about this.
Generosity is not measured by the size of a gift. It's measured by the heart of the giver. And so whatever somebody can do to be generous and helpful, we will receive and channel that, or we'll support them as they do that independently of us with one of these other great agencies.
Awesome. I love that. And I think to go hand in hand with that, one of the things that I've learned throughout the course of our conversation around this is that Martha's Mission actually launched out of First United Methodist Church. Is that right, Powell?
A long time ago, it sure did.
Which is so cool. And Martha's Mission is actually an organization that we are partnering with tomorrow. So our local Keller Williams office, which we're a part of, is doing a food drive tomorrow for Martha's Mission. We have a couple of different drop-off locations, including our Keller Williams office here in Morehead City. There's a drop-off location in Emerald Isle. And we've actually gone ahead and created a GoFundMe page that funds. Meg, does it fund directly to Martha's Mission?
It does. We don't touch it at all. It'll go right to their account.
So we've set that up too, so that way folks who maybe can't get out, who don't want to go to the grocery store, folks who aren't local but are certainly connected to our community can also give. But I love that. That's something tangible that's happening tomorrow, Powell, that is, you reference these other organizations, and there's one right there. So there are certainly so many ways that people can get involved and help.
Absolutely.
Martha's Mission helps so many people, and year round, and not just, but especially now. I love that Keller Williams wants to be involved in the community this way. What we might even want to do is challenge those of our guests who normally come down here to rent property and to visit and be at home with us in the summer. If they can't come, they could still go to that GoFundMe page and help support this community that they love and that we will welcome them back to one day.
That's right.
Absolutely.
I love that, Powell. And we have really found that to be true because, at our company, a lot of our clients are folks who are second homeowners. And we found that they really step up to the plate. They love this place just like we do. And they've really stepped up to the plate when we've done Toys for Tots, or we had a mattress drive after Florence, those other initiatives that we've done to try and help our local community. They've really stepped up to the plate. So I love that. And I think you're right. I think we'll find that they're thrilled to know of a way that they can help out.
Yes.
Wonderful.
And we will put that information in the comments below. We'll put both drop-off locations. We'll put the GoFundMe link, anything if you guys want to participate.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Meg.
Thank you.
And Meg, how about if Powell, if you have any other words of wisdom that you want to share, we are just soaking them up. So thank you.
Yes.
And I know that Meg also has a little question that we always want to ask our special guests.
I do. So Pastor Powell, this is a question we asked all of our guests here on Coffee with MC from a podcast called For the Love with Jen Hatmaker. And the question is, drumroll, what is saving your life today?
What a great question. What is saving my life today?
Asking a pastor. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Well, I'll try not to preach a sermon, but I may have 3 points, but no poem. I could make a joke and say what's saving my life right now is plenty of Diet Coke and chocolate.
Yes,
absolutely.
I think the serious answer to that, of course, and I have to acknowledge that what saves my life is a relationship with Jesus Christ. I think what's saving my life in these days is my family and the anchor of a wife that I'm blessed to have, who's a woman of faith and loves our whole family so well. I think having a life with purpose. I would encourage everybody to know we're not here just to take up space or to accumulate stuff. We are people with purpose. And until you know that purpose and you claim it and live in it, you're going to get tossed by life. And so I think my purpose to serve Christ saves my life. I may have one more funny answer.
Okay.
In a strange way, since this virus hit, I have tried to make myself go outside for a social distancing exercise.
Okay.
Called golf.
Oh, I haven't heard of that.
And it's socially distancing because I never know where I'm going to need to hunt for the golf ball. But I also think that what golf does for me is it teaches me humility.
Oh, yes.
Not only am I not any good at it, but I love being outside and with friends, but it teaches me that I'm not necessarily in control.
Absolutely.
And I think in a world that we're living in today, we're all feeling a sense of not being in control. But that humility can be healthy if you understand that there is one who is in more control, and that we are cared for and loved by God, and that God will not abandon us, and that people can really hold on to hope and know that together we're going to get to the other side of this.
I just got full body chills listening to your entire What's Saving Your Life. So that is awesome. Thank you for sharing that. And the whole time I was listening to you and Mary Cheatham chat, I was just feeling so uplifted and encouraged by you, Pastor Powell. I kept thinking of the quote. I've seen it on Facebook and I've seen it on different people's Instagrams and whatnot, but I keep seeing the phrase separate together, or we might be separated, but we feel together. I've never felt more connected to my community or to my friends and family than I do right now. And I think it's the example that you guys are setting in churches here locally, and organizations that are just taking the time to encourage folks to come together safely. You guys are just setting such a great example for everyone here in our community, and we just want to thank you for that.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Meg.
Absolutely. I love that. And Meg, it's that connection, Powell. It's that connection that you guys are fostering, and that I think is so important in keeping everyone's spirits high. And again, that connection, I think, helps to provide the purpose that you were talking about.
Yes.
And I think that's something that I think about a lot is, what am I taking with me from this? I don't want to run so fast back to what things were before, because it needs to be different. You know, it needs to be different for our family, and I think for our community. And there are things that we have this opportunity. And so now that we're entering into phase 1 and then phase 2, you know, the reopening, it's so exciting and it's so necessary. And yet also I want to make sure that I'm reflecting on how I'm going to be different. And I think that this connection and this opportunity to explore our purpose all kind of brings that back, and to tap into our humility, Powell. I mean, it brings that all back.
Agree.
Thank you. You know, one of my challenges that I do to every young couple that I'm doing pre-marriage counseling with is I ask them to think about a mission statement for their marriage.
I love that.
I know that you have a mission statement for Mary Cheatham King and Keller Williams. We do for the church, but every life needs a mission statement. And so I encourage everybody to pursue that purpose, and also know that they're being pursued by God.
That's awesome.
I love it.
Wow, so many good nuggets. Thank you, Pastor Powell. That was awesome.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Powell,
Thank you, Mary Cheatham, for
we
inviting
really
me to be a part.
appreciate you being here. Absolutely. We've loved it. Thank you very much, Powell. And we'll make sure that we link through in the comments so that if folks do want to learn more about the church and the outreach that you guys are doing, and use y'all as folks who can receive their gifts and make sure that they're plugged in the right place. I think that's such a wonderful thing and a great opportunity for folks.
Absolutely.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Have a good
Powell.
rest of your week.
Have a good day.
You too.
Bye-bye.
You too.
Oh, man.
Oh, I know, Meg. That was really, really good.
I think that was what was saving my life today, was that. I feel like I needed that little bit of uplifting encouragement. And he's just so well-spoken and just says all the right things. It's great. That was awesome.
It is. I know. I do. I feel comforted, and I also feel inspired. You know, just to think about what my purpose is. I think that's such a good. You know, we talk about those things on our team. You know, and I think it's such a good thing to kind of come back to and really think about as we enter into this next phase. And you know what? It was also a good reminder for me that this isn't going away. You know, it's not like just because things are reopening, then people's financial difficulties are just going to evaporate, or, you know, it's not going to be a switch that we flip back on. And so I think that's a really good thing for us to all understand, is that even when things get back to normal for some of us, they're not going back to normal for all of us.
Agree. Yeah, that was a really great point. I think, that's definitely what saved my life today. So I think you can agree.
I definitely agree. That's exactly
Good things
right.
from Pastor
That's
Powell.
right.
That was awesome. So before we hop off, 2 quick announcements. Tomorrow, you mentioned it earlier, but Keller Williams is hosting, it's called Red Day, and we're doing it to benefit Martha's Mission. There will be 2 drop-off locations. One will be in Emerald Isle, one will be here in Morehead City. We will drop information below. If you guys would like to donate food, we're taking monetary donations as well. That will go straight to Martha's Mission. Again, that's tomorrow on Thursday from 12 to 6. And then lastly, for Coffee with MC on Friday, we have our friend, one of my other bosses. I didn't think about that until now.
You're a hardworking lady.
Woo! Anna Seagrave will be on. She is co-owner of the Downtown Bar, one of our favorites here in Morehead, favorite workout studios. She'll be on with us to kind of chat about some life hacks, some health hacks, and a bunch of wellness stuff. So we're very excited to have her on.
I'm excited. Anna's always the most fun.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Yay.
Well, wonderful. Thanks for being here with me today, Meg. It was a good one. I feel ready to tackle my day.
Me too. That's awesome. Have a good one, MC.
Thanks so much, Meg.
Bye.